President Obama, who is named after the grandson of Muhammad, the false prophet of Islam. He, again, has done a televised speech telling us to embrace our Islamic friends around the world, even though Islam says for Muslims, don't take Christians and Jews for your friends. Anyway, Obama is once again lying, telling us that we need to accept Islam and Muslims and that the best of our nature. I'm going to go over his speech in detail in the next night or two, but I wanted to respond directly with some intelligent content. And remember, he's named after the grandson of Muhammad, Barack Hussein Obama. Hussein was supposed to be one of the caliphs, one of the successors of Muhammad, either him or his brother Hassan. We're dealing with somebody who, in Obama, who is sympathetic to Islam, somebody who said that the call to prayer is one of the most beautiful things he's ever heard. If you've ever been in Jerusalem, any number of Muslim nations, the call to prayer is annoying. It's actually repulsive on the ear. It's repulsive. Go ahead and just do a search to see for yourself. There's something wrong with this man. There's something diabolical about our president. And those who have eyes to see are starting to see it, but many of our brothers and sisters in America right now are just so seduced and so asleep because of bread and circuses. Well, it's to people like us that do shows like this, that do blogs, that write letters to the editor, that write columns. It's to us to try and shake people and wake them up. Obama has the gall to go on TV and to say what we need is more gun control. Every study shows that as private ownership of guns has gone up, murders have gone down. That's the statistical reality. Gun ownership goes up, murders go down. And the tightest gun laws in the country, some of them are in Chicago, which is a battle zone of people getting murdered with really great gun control. Let's come back to the media responding to the San Bernardino with aping questions, aping one another. How does one self-radicalize? How does one of these Muslims self-radicalize? No, we've got to find a contact. Maybe they traveled and were trained by ISIS. No, Alton Knowlton cut off the head of that woman. He didn't go of Colleen. He didn't go to get trained. To self-radicalize, a Muslim only has to read what Muhammad and his companions did and then imitate them. He just has to believe that he'll go to paradise, get 72 virgins, and then start killing. But many law enforcement won't look at Muhammad's practices and his promises and his example as a motive for terror. Why? Because they don't believe the promises. They wouldn't kill others to get themselves to heaven. So they don't believe anyone else would either. So they look for economic factors, workplace tension. Even when those don't exist, they ignore the obvious. Because to say that Muhammad's words motivate terrorism is to concede that violence is inherent in Islam. And that's the truth. Terrorism is not a virus in Islam. It's part of the very fiber of Islam. If law enforcement want to stop terrorist attacks before they happen, maybe rather than doing metadata gathering on every American in the country, they could monitor the Muslims who are spending a lot of time reading and studying the passages of the Quran and the Hadith and the biographies of Muhammad that focus on Muhammad's call to commit acts of terror, that focus on Muhammad's call for killing and dying and being rewarded with paradise. Then they'll find a motive right there in front of them. They don't need to look any further. If you want to see a motive, all right, why does somebody go to the altar and become a follower of Jesus Christ because He is the way, the truth, and the life. He is the true Son of God, and because they want to be forgiven of their sins. And so people look at Christians who have a radical conversion. They say, what happened to them? Were they in economic stress? Were they having trouble in their marriage? Well, sometimes, but at the end of the day, they convert so that they can be forgiven for their sins. Guess what? Muhammad promised his followers, start killing people, die in battle, and when the first drop of your blood is spilt, you are forgiven of your sins. There's your motive.